When people think of the Astra Militarum, they often think of Cadia, Death Corps of Krieg, and maybe the Tanith First only. But the Imperium is vast, and the innumerable armies of the Astra Militarum are plentiful and unique. Today we're going to break down 10 of these units and talk about why you should learn more about them, and maybe check them out on the tabletop.
Weapons at ready. It is time.
So for this video, I went with 10 of the Astra Militarum units that you'll see on occasion mentioned on forums, or maybe represented on a tabletop once in a blue moon. I have a lot of Astra Militarum players around me, which is where I've learned about a lot of these units and why I wanted to cover this. They're very unique and very flavorful, and it's kind of sad that Games Workshop and the Black Library have gone the direction they have, focusing only on 2 or 3 different actual Astra Militarum units. There are several mentions here and there of the ones we're talking about, but often they've been absent since 2nd or 3rd or even 5th edition, and that's why I wanted to cover them today. So let's dive into it with the first one. The first one I want to cover today is the Salvar Chemdogs. Salvar Chemdogs are a very unique legion. They are a penal legion. It comes from a world very similar to the one that the Death Guard originally came from. They're brutal survivalists who specialize in a cutthroat way of fighting that has left them pretty famous on the battlefield. They're notorious for not really caring about their lives and finding any way possible to kill and maim the enemy, which is something that a lot of the Astra Militarum has, but the Salvar Chemdogs take it to the next level. For all of my narrative players who really enjoy getting into the game and diving into lore that may be more obscure and having fun creating your own natures, this may be one of your best options because you get a very unique feel that still plays like the Astra Militarum, but can be what you want it to be. The penal legion type approach will be a very different feel, and a lot more grimdark feel than anything else that you'll see on the tabletop. And that's going to give you a lot of fun things you can do with it. To Kit Bash, you're going to want to do kind of a mix between Catachan and Necromunda stuff to give it that gang feel, while also recognizing that they come from jungles and toxic environments. You may also want to embrace some of the gas mask approach as well. They won't have the best equipment. They will be pretty beat up. So painting it that way will really bring out their natures a little bit more. And if you want to know a little bit more about them in the lore, you can check out the book Atlas Infernal. They are a major part of that. And you see them take on a little bit more of a forward-facing role so you can get to know them. But unlike the Salvar Chemdogs, our sponsor today is a clean energy source that you can really enjoy. Oh, sorry about that. Just enjoying a nice clean W energy. It's our new sponsor on this channel that I'm super excited to have involvement with. They're a clean energy company that specializes in unique flavors and a bunch of different varieties of products. In the past, I've had some health problems in my life, and I've become very particular about what I take in. And unfortunately, in the energy world and in the hydration and electrolyte world, it's pretty hard to actually be super detailed without spending a ton of money. And that's why I enjoyed W. They're a very clean and healthy alternative to your big energy drinks like Monster. But on top of that, they're actually designed with electrolytes. They also come with the electrolyte-specific version called W Hydro that is also a big part of what I take in. So I would definitely recommend checking them out at w.gg. And if you use code WARGAME, you can get 10% off any of your purchases. I also have a link down below in the description so you can go check out their starter pack. Our next group is probably a legion that I wouldn't be shocked if they used W, and that's the Mordian Iron Guard. They are specialty troops, focus heavily on discipline and self-restraint while still being brutal. They are hard fighters that specialize in being what people expect from the Astra Militarum. And coming from a night-shrouded world where darkness rules, they specialize in a lot of night assaults and things like that, while still being very powerful in the daylight. The Mordian Iron Guard is often overshadowed by the Praetorians and the Cadians in the stories and popularity, but I still get to see them on the tabletop every once in a while One of the guys in my LGS has been playing for quite a while and has a Mordian Iron Guard unit that I really enjoy playing against. Now, just like the Salvar Chemdogs, these are a narrative player's dream. There's not enough lore about them to really have defined characters that you feel like you have to actually play as, but they are defined enough that you can build your army around them. They have bright, crisp colors and a very clean look despite everything they're going through as an active military unit. And if you want to learn more about them, check out the book, The Gate of Bone.
We stand ready.
For my friends who play the Astra Militarum and are obsessed with the tanks, this next one is for you. And that is the Armageddon Steel Legion. They're a mechanized unit that specializes in heavy warfare as well as heavy tanks. They like to punch above their weight and are regularly willing to do that. This comes from being citizens of Armageddon, a world constantly at war with demons and orcs and sometimes the Grey Knights and the Inquisition. They love to fight when it comes time to fight and fight for the Imperium. I suspect in the near future we're going to be seeing a lot more of the Armageddon Steel Legion. As the lore moves back to Armageddon, we're seeing this with both the Space Wolves and the Black Templars in 10th edition, and I'm super excited to see more about them in this lore. So if this is something you guys want to get to know a little bit better, maybe check out the book Hell's Reach.
All right, gentlemen, we have a hop to take.
The next unit that I wanted to cover is one of the Imperial Special Forces units. This unit has been forgotten to lore a little bit and even had models that are now legends, and that are the Elysian drop troops. These specialty units specialize in orbital strikes and orbital drops that give them access to quick strikes behind enemy lines to eliminate enemy leaders or strike from behind, often like you'd expect from modern paratroopers. If you're a fan of the game Helldivers 2, this may be the unit for you. These are the closest you're going to get to an actual Helldiver in Warhammer 40k, and you can still kit bash them with some Tempest Scions and making some little tweaks here and there to bring them to life. And if you want to know more about them in the lore, check out the book Scions of Elysia. The next unit is going to a cold weather specialty unit, and that is the Valhallan Ice Warriors. The Valhallan Ice Warriors come from an ice planet that gives them the unique ability to know how to survive in extreme environments. And because of this, they are one of the Imperium specialties for very cold worlds that are able to work in this very unique environment and fight heavily. And like a lot of the Astra Militarum units, these are inspired by World War II units. Unlike most World War II units that inspire the Cadians and things like that, Valhallan Ice Warriors are inspired by the Eastern Front of World War II and the Soviets during the Winter War and things like that. So if that's the aesthetic you want to go with, maybe the Valhallan Ice Warriors will be the option for you. And the best part is there's a lot of third-party and other games that you can pull from to kit bash these guys and make them look really, really cool. And if you're wanting to learn more about their lore, check out the book Ice Guard.
For the Emperor!
The next one is actually one we've talked about before in previous videos, and that is the Tallarn Desert Raiders. These guys came up in our Dune video where we talked about how to bring my friend into Warhammer 40k. We will pop up a little banner right here so that you can check that out later if you would like. The Tallarn Desert Raiders are a desert specialty. They grew up on a world that was turned into a raging desert by warfare and have had to learn how to survive and to fight in this environment. Because of this, their specialty units with war walkers and light tanks make them opportune for big, broad battles in the inhospitable desert. And if you want to bring them to the tabletop, they're a really good, balanced unit that looks really, really cool. Unlike most other Astra Militarum units you're going to see, these guys are not colorful. They're going to be wearing a lot of browns and tans and maybe a little bit of grays and blacks mixed in there. And this is going to give a really unique look on the tabletop. If you're maybe a fan of the Global War on Terror look, this is going to be the unit for you. I've seen a pretty big resurgence in popularity with them lately, And I've actually seen two of these armies in person in the tabletops in the last year. Both looked spectacular, and from what I was told, they weren't too bad to build for an Astra Militarum unit. And if you're wanting to learn more about this, check out the book Desert Raider.
For the Emperor!
Now, if you're a fan of Britannia or that old Arthurian feel, the army that might be for you is the Vostroyan Firstborn. They're nobles with a blood debt to the Emperor that they have to repay. These nobles are very elegant and unique in the way they fight. They use a lot of balance between armor and infantry to accomplish their missions. This unit tends to be a pretty unique one on the tabletop because a lot of times it's the epic painters who enjoy this. If you don't want to go for a knight's army and do all of the detailed painting and imagery on pauldrons of the Imperial Knights or the Chaos Knights, doing an army of the Vostroyan Firstborn allows you to use the size of tanks. So often you'll see that elegant artwork painted onto Vostroyan Firstborn tanks and banners. And because of this, it leads to some really, really cool looking armies. And if you're a fan of these, you don't have to go that route. Just know that they're going to have a very fancy feel to them. So you're going to see a lot of golds and silvers mixed in there. Even though for an Astra Militarum unit, it doesn't really make sense. Vostroyan Firstborn are okay with that, and they want to look like nobility. And if you want to learn more about them, there's a book called Rebel Winter that will be for you. And before we get on to the top 3 of my favorite Imperial Guard units that have kind of been lost to the lore, I have a quick message for you guys as well. Hey everybody, I wanted to thank all of you guys for being part of this channel. It's been a lot of fun to share all of these videos with you and talk Warhammer and other games. If you want to be more involved in this community, we are currently working on building up our Patreon and Discord so that you guys can be more involved, share your thoughts, have discussions, and become a real part of this community. On top of that, we are getting super close to being able to include our shop on this channel so you can get your Readers of Wargame merch directly here instead of on my website, which is www.tylertartar.com. So make sure you go check that out as well. And if you can, one thing we're missing is watch hours. So if you can spare us a little time and check out a second video, I would greatly appreciate it.
Weapons at ready. It is time.
So number 3, I know there's actually at least one fan out on this channel who enjoys this one because he special requested it, and we've already done a detailed, more accurate video on them, which will pop up right there. And that is the Praetorians. Honestly, the only reason they're not higher is because, unlike all the ones we've mentioned so far, they have 0 books. They have no place you can go for deeper lore besides just the codexes. The Praetorians are based off of historical Britain. They have the red coats and the black helmets. They're famous for replicating a lot of Britain's famous battles throughout history in the codexes with a sci-fi twist. For example, instead of the Zulu Wars, they're fighting orcs, which as a fan of history is very, very interesting. And on top of that, they're going to be really fun to build in Kit Bash because you can pull from a lot of different historical elements to build up that army. So make sure you check out the video we've already done about the Praetorians if this is something that interests you, because there's not much else lore-wise you can find. You'll find a bunch of wikis and things like that, and that's going to be about as good as you're going to get, unfortunately.
All right, gentlemen, we have a hop to take.
The Harakoni Warhawks have come to my attention several times in lore, and that's why they're number 2. They often get mentions or side entries into them. I first saw them in Gaunt's Ghosts when they're doing an infiltration alongside the Ghosts, and this Special Forces unit specializes in stealth infiltration as well as drop infiltration. So kind of like Elysian drop troops, they're less shock and they're more infiltration. The Harakoni Warhawks have this unique ability to go into a fight where people least expect them to be and show up and hold ground or eliminate people. Think American Air Cav. The hard part with these is you're going to have to use some Valkyries to do transports and drops on the tabletop to make them feel proper, which in 10th edition isn't the easiest thing to do. But the unique feel to them and their camouflage nature, kind of like the Tanith First and Only, leads them to be really cool looking on the tabletop and give you some pretty fun abilities to play with, despite having some difficulties with 10th edition rules. And if you're wanting a little bit more detailed story on them, check out Wrath of Iron.
Weapons at ready. It is time.
Now, our final one is a very niche unit that appears only in deep, deep lore and mentions every once in a while. And that is the Necromundan Spiders. The Necromundan Spiders are often mentioned in the Necromunda books and are barely mentioned in the Astra Militarum codexes, which means there's not a lot to go on. They're not in any deep lore, they're not in any deep books, which is unfortunate because they're units pulled directly from the gangs of Necromunda. Not in Penal Legion style, but they're recruited and conscripted is the best way to put it. And these gangs use very underhanded tactics to fight and survive, and are often fighting each other as much as they're fighting the rest of their enemy. So they're often grouped by clans and gangs and families to keep them at least a little bit more organized and sent into battle sacrificially, but they do tend to play more of a sabotage and unconventional warfare type fighting style. So if this is something you want to see on the tabletop, check out the Necromundan Spiders. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot of really cool videos up and coming, and we have so many different things planned for you guys as well. Also, don't forget to check out www.tylertartar.com where you can get readers of Wargame merch until we can get the watch hours so that I can put it here. Once we do that, you'll be able to access all the merch here on YouTube as well. On top of that, don't forget to use code WARGAME on w.gg to get access to 10% off your clean energy drinks and hydration solution. So let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite unit we talked about, and which one would you like to see a lore accurate breakdown on? I have a lot of these I can do moving forward, but I want to know what you guys think. Also, did I forget any legions or Astra Militarum units that you think need to be covered as well? Also, do you guys think we should do more of these breakdowns for maybe Night Houses or Chaos Space Marine war bands or anything like that? Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.